Welcome back. Now, the #1 story of the week. The Office of Personnel Management has a leader for the first time in nearly a year. One of the first jobs for Kiran Ahuja will be to execute the Biden administration's new multi-year workforce strategy. Janice Lachance is Executive Vice President at the American Geophysical Union. She's former Director of the Office of Personnel Management. Rafael Borras is President and CEO of the Homeland Security and Defense Business Council. He's former Undersecretary for Management at the Department of Homeland Security. Welcome to both of you. Janice, I imagine as you saw Kiran swear in this week, you had memories of your swear in. What's she up against as she takes over at OPM, given the landscape that exists today for the federal workforce?
She has a number of challenges, but I prefer to think about them as opportunities. She's going to get the chance to really make some advances that a lot of us have been looking for the last almost 20 years. First of all, the agency needs to be rebuilt. It needs to reclaim its leadership among the federal agencies' HR offices. The prior administration was trying to dismantle it. That didn't work out. Now it's time to really think about OPM's role, reassert it, reaffirm it, and move forward. But there's so many challenges that are giving HR professionals across government an opportunity to rethink how work is done, rethink where work is done, how to keep federal employees safe and secure, and how to give them the talent they need to get the work done on all of these important issues we're wrestling with as a nation. And then finally, how do we bring in and keep the kind of talent we need to really tackle the future and do it easily, do it smoothly, figure out new ways, rethink these systems, and really start from scratch to rebuild an HR structure that is ready for the 2020s, right? This decade has already been so dramatically different. How do we carry this forward and make it something special, something different? And Kiran's the perfect person to do that.
Rafael, welcome. It's great to have you on the program. What do leaders at agencies like your former agency need from a rebuilt OPM, as Janice describes it?
Well, she described it well. I would say two things. One is, set your goals appropriately. You've got now a little less than 4 years to get this business done. You're not going to get everything done. So, they've set out a pretty ambitious agenda, and they're going to need to be very strategic about how they use the next several years to be able to put OPM back in its proper place. The second thing is, what is the proper place? Many of the agencies, have had sort of a schizophrenic relationship with OPM over the last several years. And I think it's important for OPM to focus on what is its appropriate corporate role. Really, what are the things that should be done at OPM, and what are the things that the agencies need to do? And I think it's important to sort that out, kind of for once and for all. Figure out, what are the right things that OPM needs to be doing, and more important, get them out of the business of the things that are better left to the agencies.
Janice, the NextGov story about this workforce initiative that the administration is undertaking says that it will be jointly managed by OMB and the Office of Personnel Management. What ensures a smooth working relationship between those two organizations?
In my view, it all comes down to a commitment to the goals. And I think both OMB and OPM want the same thing. I think that they can work well together. Let's take away all of these very traditional competitive issues between the two agencies, and let's focus on the goal. As my colleague said, this is about the goals, and I think that this sort of whole government approach to HR and really thinking it through in a way that is going to bring the right talent to the federal workforce and maintain and keep the right talent is critical. And let's have as many people working on this together. I do think they're going to have a challenge to make sure that all of the departments and agencies across government take this seriously, that they just don't pay lip service to it. So that leadership from OPM, which is the government-wide, enterprise-wide HR operation office policymaker for the entire government, plus what the status that OMB can bring to it, I think can be a winning combination to really break through to some of these issues.
Rafael, you posed a rhetorical question about what OPM's corporate role should be across the enterprise of the government. What's the answer to that rhetorical question from the perspective of somebody who's a top manager, not necessarily an HR manager at an agency like DHS?
Well, I'm greatly influenced from my time in the private sector. When I worked in a large publicly traded company, it was really clear in terms of what services and support and guidance we got from the corporate and what flexibility we had as division managers or P&L leads to run our business. And quite frankly, I thought it was a very healthy relationship. I knew when and what I needed to reach out to corporate for. And I think that's what I want to see here in this discussion. And this balance, figuring out the roles and responsibilities between OMB and OPM, exactly what are the functions of OMB in this conversation. That sorting out is going to have to be really clear so that we don't get mixed messages at the agencies. Oftentimes the funding decisions dominate oftentimes the movement across the federal agencies. So if OMB plays a very strong role and ties certain initiatives to funding, and it's not in sync with what we're hearing from OMB, that's going to just cause a lot of agencies to think about, how do they get things done by themselves? And that's not a good thing. You want OPM to strongly set some guidance, clear the tracks so that we can move the barriers out of the way and allow the agencies the flexibility to conduct their business, pursuant to those guidelines and those standards that are set by OPM.
Rafael Borras, Janice Lachance, thanks very much for joining me. It's great to have you back on the program.